From the Fieldbus Foundation Training Center at Lee College, Setting Up a Tag and Troubleshooting. Sponsored by Asbill, Endress & Hauser, Yokogawa, and other Foundation members.
Okay, so now we're going to demonstrate what happens and what steps we go through on one of the host systems in terms of setting up a tag for a device and getting it commissioned. And even along the way, we'll take a little bit of a detour of what happens when all that's been done and you're right and you're feeling good about it, and you connect the device and golly gee, it doesn't show up. Okay, and one of the items that can cause this to happen, and including with that how we might even fix that. So Talon's going to go to Delta V, in this case the configuration window, and we're going to use this particular port labeled port 1. So if you'll right click on port 1, the device we're going to use is going to be an Endress Hauser Cerebar S device. So go ahead and pick new Fieldbus device and select your Endress Hauser Cerebar.
Okay. Anderson Hauser Cerebar.
And
so this is all loaded into the system. Correct?
This is all loaded. It's reading the driver set. I'm sorry?
Into your particular host.
It's loaded in the host. The driver sets have been loaded. So now before we click OK here, let's maybe give it a device tag. And in this case, I'm playing like I've been ordering these devices, and I asked the device manufacturer to preload tags. And the tag we're going to pick in this case will be PT100. We'll keep this pretty simple. Yes, I like underscores. They're good. And we're going to call it a rev level 5. Actually, what we might do is let's pick rev level 4, or another rev level. 2 is fine. I can live with that. And say OK. Okay, so the device has been given a tag. It's being called a Endress Hauser Cerebar S Rev 2. Now, one thing we might notice if we click on the drop-down window next to address is that the host system knows which addresses have been used and therefore which ones are still available. So in this case, we're recognizing 20, 23 up to address 30 are available. The host is really automatically selected address 30, and that probably could be a recommended practice. Let the host do the addressing. So say OK. So we're now ready to go out and locate this pressure transmitter. So right click on PT100 and go to commission. The system is now going to go out and find any instance of, in this case, an Endress Hauser Cerebar S Rev Level 2 device which has not already been commissioned on this segment, and it's going to present it to the user. Nothing is showing up. There's many reasons this can occur. One of them is quite possibly that the device does not have the same revision level as what we've asked for. Remember, we asked for revision level 2. So that's a definite possibility. So to help identify that, what the actual revision level is, I think we'll go to a live list diagnostic window, and diagnostic windows in live lists will appear different on different hosts. So cancel this page. In this case, go down to diagnose at the bottom of the page. And we are looking for any device here that shows up that is either decommissioned, either in a standby state, an unknown state, a spare state. All these devices are commissioned, which appears under the state column of this particular window. So these devices, we're not seeing any decommission or standby device or device ready, but we're not seeing an Endress Hauser Cerebar S. So what could be happening here? Well, here the issue is yet another one. So I've actually thrown 2 curveballs in here. This is an issue where if the device had come from another host system that perhaps had a broader address range capability, it could have an address that was misset that is outside of the range of this host. Now those are known as the fun and none settings, the first unpulled node and the number of unpulled node settings. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is somebody put it on a bench, and being very, very sensitive about addresses, because in many systems, if there's a conflict in addressing, it can cause serious consequences. So if that's the case, they may have said, well, let me give it an address while I play with it and work with it on the bench here, and I'll give it an address that I know nobody's going to use, but unfortunately, which is outside this fun none range. So let's take a look at what that fun none range is by going back to Explorer And in this case, go to right-click on or click on port 1, PO1, and our details faceplate is set up. Well, we're already there. I'm sorry. And on the right-hand pane, we'll find first unpulled node ID. Kind of reads like first unpulled node. Okay, sorry, that's the way this stuff appears. And it says 36. And then below, we'll see a num of unpulled node ID with 196. So that is saying that nothing from address 36 and for the next 195 addresses, or we could say from address 36 and for the 196 addresses beyond and including the first unpulled node will show up. So we're not going to see anything from 36 and anything above that for the next 195 addresses. So now we know what the fun none settings were. So what I do is I go back and I reconnect the device on another host, or in this case on a handheld communicator, another device, and what I've discovered is that the device in fact was addressed for address 39. Now how are we going to fix that? So let's take a look at that for a second. So what we've done now is we've taken the transmitter, we've put it on a test bench, and basically have hooked it up with a handheld communicator, and we're hooked up to an independent segment which has no LAS on it. So the communicator is now acting as a host and has become an LAS and has gone out and located this device. The device is labeled PT100. As I mentioned, the manufacturer was asked to pre-tag the devices. So there's PT100, but somehow the address has become address 39. As you remember, the address we want it to become is address 30, but the fun none settings started at 36. So address 36, 37, 38, 39, for 196 addresses will not be seen by the host. By the way, they also would not be seen by the communicator based on how the communicator is set up if I was to go out into the field and install it. So if the communicator is using the host settings. So to make the change, it's not very difficult. We have it set up on its own independent system now, the communicator, and we're going out with the communicator and have selected this Indrishauser transmitter, and basically it's located the transmitter and it's looking at the function blocks, and at the bottom of the page it gives me an advanced tab, and one of those advanced choices is detail, and one of the detail choices is address. The question might be, what address would I like to put it at? Manufacturing addresses, generally they're going to come out of the box at around 248, but since I know this thing is already set up at address, or should be set up at address 30, I could set that, but probably I'm just going to set this for around address 247. Okay, if I can get the thing to click. Okay, let me delete all that and start over. Okay, 247. Okay, so I'm giving it address 247. And one reason I'm doing that is because, again, we're looking at a particular host and the way it does it. Address 247 is below the manufacturing described address range of 248 through 251, and it's fairly innocuous. And if 247 is being used by a device out there, Fieldbus has the capability of wiping out that address from the device and rewriting it into an address that is not being used without upsetting any of the devices on the segment. So now it's been set at address 247. I'm going to send that to the device, and it will take a few minutes for it to walk through this readdressing process, at which time we'll connect it back to the segment and see what it looks like on the host system. Okay, now it's telling me that the change has been completed, so I'll tell it OK. And it says now it shows the device is at address 247. So at this point it should be OK to take the device and reinstall it on the segment and see how the segment begins to show it for us. But while we're at it, earlier I mentioned there might be a little bit of confusion about rev levels and things. So again, the same window that allows me to see the address and actually change the address is also showing the device revision, and it may be difficult to read. It's kind of grayed because it's not a writable value by the user, but it shows that it's a rev level 5. So when we go back to our host system, we'll confirm that we are in fact asking it for to be a Rev Level 5 device.